The CZ Shadow 2 Optic Ready is one of the most popular pistols in competition shooting. The Shadow 2 basically nailed the formula of a super heavy gun with a pretty light trigger. And if you get the chance to experience a worked over Shadow 2 with the trigger job, it's very easy to understand why the CZ has such a cult following here in the United States. I'm David with Gun Deals, and this is the CZ Shadow 2 Optics Ready. So right out of the box, the CZ Shadow 2 Optics Ready has a lot going for it. It is a dream to shoot. It is a gorgeous pistol with the fancy blue grips. It has a pretty good trigger, and the fiber optic sights and the adjustable rear that it comes with is basically the perfect combination to shoot well with at speed for an iron-sighted gun. And with the Optics Ready version, you get these nickel-plated magazines with the +2 base plate, giving you 19 rounds of firepower. You get 3 of these bad boys in the case, which is a lot to like about the pistol, except for the fact that it doesn't come with an optics plate for an Optics Ready gun. It's easy to look past that and think, whoa, well, I'll just go buy the optics plate from CZ. And you can, sort of. They're super rare. They go out of stock as soon as they come in stock. There's just nowhere near enough of them for the popular optics plate. So what ends up happening is you can either buy an aluminum version of the plate from an aftermarket CZ gunsmith, or you can send your money overseas. I ordered from like the CZ shop or something in, I think, Poland or somewhere up there, the OEM steel plate that is supposed to be used with the gun for the RMR. And it only took about 10 days to get to the States, which wasn't that big a deal, but this is a $1,500 pistol, and you still have to spend, about $60 or so to get the plate to make it function as the name implies, which is with an optic on it. And while we're going negative on the pistol, before I gush over it and tell you how much I'm in love with this pistol I am, because I am, it's a fantastic pistol. It's kind of like a performance sports car where, like, yeah, it gives you trouble every once in a while, but it makes you feel so good. You drive it so fast and you love it. Like, that's what this pistol is. The CZ pistols will require a little bit of preventative maintenance. They use a torsion spring to allow the trigger to swing forward upon reset. So the reason it swings forward like that is there's a little coiled spring inside the frame right there. Those do wear out. If you're just going to sit around and just dry fire the gun and click, click, click over and over again, that spring will heat up and eventually it will snap. Now, a good replacement interval is about 10,000 rounds if you're not going to do heavy double action dry fire. If you never pull double action on this pistol, then the spring may last indefinitely. It's not a problem. But if you're somebody who's going to use double action a lot, that spring is a maintenance item. The other piece, and they actually improved this over the old Shadow designs with the Shadow 1s, is the slide stop. The slide stop is designed to fail. It is a sacrificial piece. On the old Shadows, they would last between about 10 and 15,000 rounds. The new ones, I've heard reports lasting into the 40,000 round mark and beyond. So they've got this part pretty much dialed in at this point. And if you stay on top of those two parts, this gun will never give you problems. It is worth mentioning that CZs have notoriously short throats. So if you're somebody who reloads their own ammunition, be sure and plunk test the rounds into the barrel of your CZs. This gun requires me to load some of my projectiles down to really short overall lengths. My other guns can take more standard loading lengths, but just some projectiles give these guns fits. So be sure and test your load in the gun before going to the range. This gun is amazing. This is actually the third Shadow 2 that I've owned, and I am kicking my own butt that I sold the other two when I decided I would stop shooting production division, which is what the gun originally was made to compete in. But the Optics Ready gun is awesome. Like, if you're shooting production division, it's tough to make an argument that you should shoot any gun other than Shadow 2. They are absolutely amazing. And what makes them amazing is the ergonomics that CZ has put onto these pistols. They put really aggressive checkering on the front and the back straps of the gun. It comes with these beautiful blue aluminum grips that provide decent traction, but once your hand gets wet, they kind of get a little bit slippery. But it's sort of a thin profile, so it ends up feeling almost like a polymer pistol as far as like the profile of the grip all the way around. But it provides pretty good trigger reach with the thin grips so that smaller handed folks can have a chance at getting onto the long, admittedly long double action. And the double action trigger that the gun comes with, it's a little bit stagey, it's a little bit kind of creepy. It does smooth out with use. I've only got about 300 rounds on this pistol since I picked it up for review, and the trigger has improved dramatically from when I first got it out of the box. When I first got it out of the box, there were a lot of like hitches and starts as you kind of pull the trigger straight to the rear. At this point, it's much more linear, it's much smoother, and it'll probably continue to smooth out as I continue to shoot it. The double action pull is about 9 pounds on this bad boy, and once the gun cycles, the hammer is left cocked, and then now we have our single action. Single action does have a little bit of slop as you take the slack out and get onto the sear, and then there's a little bit of creep. It's kind of like a rolling break with the hammer. It's not like a super firm wall that then kind of releases it. It's more of a rolling break, which seems like that's not desirable when you're shooting it at the gun store and somebody's got like a super firm wall. You're like, well, this one is not quite as crisp. When you're shooting this thing rapidly, like the rolling break starts to make sense. If you've not experienced the rolling break of the Shadow 2 trigger, I would definitely get it on the range and try and shoot fast before you decide you need to do something to make the wall firmer. The gun is absolutely fantastic. And the accuracy that you'll get from this gun is really, really good. The ergonomics that CZ has given you with the 46-ounce pistol with a 3-pound trigger. So just to put that in perspective, the pull weight in ounces is about 1-to-1 from the frame weight to the pull weight on the pistol. So as you're moving the trigger straight to the rear, it's very difficult to pull the muzzle offline. So most people, when you hand them a Shadow 2 for the first time, are like, holy cow, I'm a really good shooter. And it's just because the gun is really, really easy, very intuitive to shoot well. The gun does feature manual safeties, which should pretty much be ignored because they're thin safeties. They don't stick out like at all. The division in which the gun was designed for is intended to be shot from a hammer down position. So if you decided you want to compete with the gun, you will have to learn how to decock the hammer manually, which means there's a round in the chamber. You're going to have to pinch the hammer and pull the trigger and lower the hammer to get it to be fully decocked so you can start. And that's going to be a little unnerving for some people. Some people absolutely hate that. And as far as actually carrying this, guys, this is a competition gun. This is not intended to be carried. You can do it, but in the hammer down condition, if the hammer is all the way down and it falls on the hammer, that's enough force to make the gun go off. So if you insist on carrying a 46-ounce pistol, pretty please make sure you put the hammer in quarter cock right there so that the hammer does not contact the firing pin. So in case there is a dropped gun, the gun will not go off. The slide work on the gun is pretty awesome. The forward cocking serrations, and that's all you get on the optics ready version. There are no cocking serrations at the rear of the gun. Most competitive shooters will cock from the front of the gun anyway, so I don't really care as a competitive shooter. I like to run the gun from the front, so that doesn't hurt my feelings any. When you mount an optic on the pistol, you do lose your rear sight. There are no co-witnesses, and the front sight is not going to be tall enough to kind of co-witness with your dot either. So it is pretty much a pure dot gun at that point when you have it mounted with a dot, but for a competition pistol with a dot, that's kind of what you want. You want the biggest field of view that you can get without any obstructions in front of it, so the Shadow 2 Optics Ready absolutely delivers on that front. The controls are not ambidextrous. The slide pin or slide stop right there is only on the left-hand side of the pistol, so right-handed shooters can drop the slide with their strong hand thumb. The safety is fully ambi. If you were left-handed and wanted to use it as a single action gun, you have that option available to you. The mag catch, I believe, is swappable, and they have a button on the mag button that allows you to adjust the angle of the button in one of 3 positions to get it just so that you can reach the mag release without breaking your grip on the pistol. My favorite feature of the Shadow 2 is the checkering on the front strap and the back strap of the gun. It is a cast frame, but it absolutely bites into your fingers and provides amazing traction. The gun is absolutely planted when you get a good firing grip on the Shadow 2. I can't stress enough that this is executed better than any other competition gun that I've handled that wasn't a 1911 or a 2011. But if you don't want to compete and you just want a gun that's going to make you look cool at the range and shoot one ragged whole groups, this absolutely is that gun. It's an expensive gun at about $1,500, and it's not ready out of the box because you'll have to buy an optics plate from either an aftermarket vendor or somebody overseas. But even though I'm not competing with this gun, I love this gun. I'm not selling this one. This one is staying with me forever. I can't believe I ever sold Shadow 2s. They're such amazing pistols. So let me know in the comments, guys, have you ever shot a Shadow 2, and would you ever spend $1,500 on a pistol like this? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you on the next one.